What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, this is going to be a very personal episode of Joe Winko Talk. For those of you who like following the failures in my love life, this episode has got you covered, but this one is quite a bit more intense than any of the other failures in my love life. And it's nothing really morbid or gloomy. Well, it kind of almost is, really. So as you all know, it's finally December 1st, the last month of the year, and I'm so glad that year 2020 is ending because this has literally been the worst year in my whole entire life. Mainly due to the coronavirus that's been spreading around everywhere and is still continuing to spread. In case you guys have forgotten, I live down in Florida, but I don't live by myself, unfortunately. I live with my adoptive dad's brothers, who aren't taking the coronavirus seriously at all. Luckily, however, one of them left to stay with his girlfriend who lives in another state, and he's been gone since May, and I honestly hope he never comes back again. And the other one literally spends almost every single night at his girlfriend's house. But he still comes back to this house every day to do random stuff, and I have no idea what he does, because whenever he's here, I'm in my bedroom and I'm locked away from him and trying to avoid him. And also, I was even enrolled in the coronavirus vaccine trials. I actually had to drop out of them, but I did get both of the shots though. And I also got a blood test proving that I tested positive for COVID antibodies, which means that I have immunity to coronavirus in my blood, which means that I got the real vaccine and not the placebo. So I'm very, very happy about that. However, I'm not sure how well it actually protects me, so I'm still taking precautions and still being careful and everything, because I'm still worried about the coronavirus. Since I'm at high risk for it, for being African American, African Americans are dying of coronavirus at a higher rate, and also because of my type 1 diabetes. I used to live in Wisconsin. Luckily, I don't live there anymore. I hated that place. And it turns out that Wisconsin is now a hotspot for coronavirus. And the CDC has been telling everyone not to travel for Thanksgiving, not to go visit family for Thanksgiving. But my dumbass adoptive dad's relatives completely blew off that order, and I don't know who it was. It was my adoptive dad's brother's son. Um, yeah, however you make that connection, that's how they were. He came down to Florida to visit, and guess where he stayed for 3 or 4 nights at? You guessed it. This house that I'm in right now. I was so angry because they all know that I'm worried about the coronavirus. They all know I'm at high risk of dying of it because of my type 1 diabetes, and also because I'm African American. In case you're wondering, none of them are African American. Figures. They also do not know that I was in the coronavirus vaccine trials, because I already got both of the shots, but I don't know how well they protect me. So basically, they're taking someone from a coronavirus hotspot place and putting them with a person who's at high risk. That really pissed me off, and to be completely honest with you, I take it very personally when someone's putting my health and my safety at risk, especially for stupid reasons like that, and I was pissed off at them, and I wanted to leave. I wanted to get away from them, and I wanted to leave. That's what I wanted to do. Even though the vaccine probably has me extremely well protected, they said it was 95% effective, I still don't want to stay with people who are stupid enough to do that. So I wanted to get away from them. So I tried to get away from them the only way that I know how. And basically, I updated all my dating site profiles on all the dating sites that I'm on. I said that I was looking to live with a guy who would want to be my lover and partner. I know if I went to live with a lover and partner, that kind of goes against what I'm saying, like that I was trying to socially distance and trying to be alone and everything, because I would be living with someone else. But if I was living with a lover and partner, someone who I'm close to and someone who I care about and everything, I would trust them enough that when they go out, they would be safe and they would be smart and they would try not to catch the coronavirus so they don't put me at risk, because me and them would trust each other and me and them would love each other. I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true. That's exactly how I thought of it. These people that I'm living with right now, they're not my family. They're my adoptive dad's brothers. My adoptive dad isn't my family either, but me and my adoptive dad are pretty close now. But his relatives, that's a completely different story. I'm not close to any of them. They're not my family. They aren't even my friends at all, because I've been living here for 3 years and I never do anything with them. Not that I ever cared about it, but they aren't my friends. That's why I don't trust them at all. Plus, they support Donald Trump, so that alone right there says everything. And I even overheard them talking about how this coronavirus is a joke and everything. You seriously think I want to be around people like that? Absolutely not. Ever since I first moved to Florida back in 2017, I always thought that when I moved to Florida, because I figured there were a lot more gay guys here than in Wisconsin, I would find a lover and partner to go live with instead, and I wouldn't be here for very long. However, fast forward 3 years later, and I'm still at the exact same place where I always been, so it hasn't really changed or anything. And I know what all you guys are going to say. You guys are all going to say, oh, well, Joe, you should get a job and everything and move out on your own and support yourself. Okay, let's say that I have done that. I would still be at a very bad situation, if not worse than I am right now, because so many people have lost their jobs because of coronavirus. And also, I can't hold a job at all. I already did 3 episodes of Joe Winko talk about that. I'll have them all linked in the pinned comments the last time I tried having a job. But even if I could, so many people have lost their jobs because of coronavirus. And guess what I was originally planning on going to school for to become? And I dropped out of school because the more I learned about this career path, the less I wanted to do it and the less I thought I'd be capable of doing it. And thank God I made that decision, especially considering the things going on now. I was going to be a nurse. Kind of, it might be scary for you guys to think about that, but I was literally planning on becoming a nurse back when I was 18 or 19. I wasn't really dead set on it. I just thought, well, everyone in my adoptive family did nursing, so I probably should too. But when I learned about how complicated and how stressful that job is, I decided not to. And thank God I made that decision, because so many nurses are getting sick, so many nurses are dying right now, and so many of them don't even have PPE. The government isn't even trying to help them at all. So it doesn't matter. It's lose-lose either way, considering what I'm capable of. Even if I was capable of everything, it would be lose-lose either way. So getting back to what happened, I was really angry that my adoptive dad's brother's son came to visit from Wisconsin. Ironically enough, he left like literally the day before this, but I didn't know that at the time. And I was on my phone on Grindr looking for a lover and a partner and everything, as I have been doing for the past 8 or 9 or 10 years. Yeah, I've been on that app way longer than I'm supposed to. The circumstances leading up to this were strange within themselves, because that day I logged on to Grindr and I started looking around at the profiles, and usually it's always the same guys on Grindr because it detects your location and it senses guys around you. But I noticed that all these guys, they were all different and I didn't recognize any of them. I didn't recognize a single one. Then I started getting messages from guys, And then I even was getting messages from guys who didn't even know how to speak English asking if I wanted to hook up with them and stuff like that. And I was like, who are all these men and what the hell? So I talked to a few of them and they asked me where do I live because they wanted to know where I was so we could get together. And I told them I live in Pinellas County near Highway 19. And they were like, Pinellas County? That's where you live? And I was like, yeah, don't you live in Pinellas County or do you live in Tampa? Where are you? And they said, dude, I live in Miami. And I was like, Miami? And then all the other guys who I talked to on Grindr, they also told me that they all lived in Miami. And I was like, okay, what the hell is going on? And I remember this actually happened before. My cell phone's location, you know how your cell phone has a current location and they're able to tell where you're at? It was saying that I lived in Miami, Florida, even though I live in Pinellas County, Florida. And Miami is a bit of a ways from here. But that's not the first time something like that happened. Way back in 2014, 2015, my cell phone's location was goofing up again, and it told everyone that I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, even though I actually lived up in Wisconsin at that time. And I I made a lot of friends with people in Kentucky on that app because we were talking about everything and I was telling them how I wanted to visit the Waverly Hills Sanitarium and it was pretty interesting and it was pretty cool. Some of them I still talk to and some of them I'm still friends with on Facebook, but I need to get back in touch with them now that I think of it. But yeah, that was going on and that only like happened for one day. My cell phone's location was goofed up. It eventually went back to normal, but it was saying that I live down in Miami. So, yeah. So I was talking to a few guys in Miami because they all were messaging me and everything, and they said that they were asking me if I was new there, and I told them, new, I've been to Miami before, but I'm not even in Miami right now. I'm in Pinellas County. And then there was this one guy who messaged me. He said that he read my profile on Grindr and he read about how I was looking to live with a guy who would be addicted to sucking my cock and how I hate living with my adoptive dad's brothers and I wanted to get away from them. And he said that he was definitely interested in me. And I was like, oh, well, okay. And then he sent me a picture of himself and I thought he was pretty handsome. And as much as I hate to admit this, he looked a lot like Ron DeSantis. That's who he reminds me of now. But he looked like Ron DeSantis. And the even more ironic thing about this, my adoptive dad's brother, who I actually live with and who I can't stand and who I actually hate, also looks like Ron DeSantis. But this guy was a bit different from Ron DeSantis. His eyes were bigger and he had darker jet black hair. And when I first saw him, it immediately reminded me of my uncle Romario, who was literally the nicest person I ever met in my entire life, who passed away in 2012, who I miss dearly. And I was like, oh, he looks just like my uncle. I'm just going to say that this man's name is Damien. That's the name I'm going to use in this video. And me and him were talking to each other, and I told him that I actually live in Pinellas County, and that the location on my cell phone is goofing up. And me and him were on the phone twice, and what I noticed was that he seemed very nervous and very shy while talking to me. And I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, well, he's nervous, he's shy, I'm just gonna try talking to him and try to warm him up and everything so he doesn't feel so shy and uncomfortable. So that's what I did. I was talking to him about stuff. I was telling him about my YouTube videos. And he actually did watch my YouTube videos. Apparently, he watched them before he messaged me because he told me that he was glad that I didn't go to North Dakota. And I was like, oh, wow, you have been watching them. And he also told me that he watched my video about how to suck my penis, and he thought that was funny, and he thought it was really interesting, and I was like, oh, okay then. So I told him that we should get together, and I said, would you be open to coming to Pinellas County picking me up and taking me back to your place. And I figured it was worth a shot asking, because if he wasn't open to that, then he just wouldn't be open to that. But it was worth a shot. And turns out that he was actually open to that, driving to Pinellas and picking me up and taking me back to his place. And I was like, oh, well, okay then. And in case you guys are wondering, Miami is roughly a 4.5 hour drive from where I live, because you have to drive through Alligator Alley and everything to get to Miami. But he was all right with that. And I was excited, so I packed up all my stuff and I told him, what time will you be there tomorrow? And I sent him the address on where I want him to pick me up from. And he said, okay, I'll be there by, I think it was like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. was the time he got there. And I was like, okay, then come pick me up then. And he was like, okay. So the next morning, he told me that he was on his way and everything. And I was awake all night because my sleeping schedule is a bit whack. I stay awake all night because that's when my adoptive dad's brothers are gone. And also I was staying awake all day so I could meet him and go back to Miami with him. So I got all my bags packed up and he told me that he was finally there. So I went to the parking lot where I gave him the address to pick me up from, and then I got in the car with him. And right away I noticed that he was still like really shy and really nervous, and I didn't really think much of it, really. I was just thinking, okay, he's still shy, he's still nervous. Let me just try talking to him more and maybe he'll warm up over time. I don't know why he's so shy and nervous. So then we started the drive back to Miami down Interstate 75, and it's a pretty long drive. And the whole entire time I was trying to talk to him and everything, but I was also kind of out of it myself because I was really tired. And when I'm awake all night and then awake all day, my mind seems to go very slow and I seem to get like fog-minded and everything. But I was trying to talk to him and keep a conversation and everything. He told me that he was from Norfolk, Virginia, or Norfolk, Virginia, as they call it. And he said that that's where he's originally from. And I was like, oh, I love Norfolk, Virginia. I was actually there back in summer of 2019 because that's the place where me and a different stranger went on a road trip to when we went to Virginia Beach. And I even did a video on Military Road in Norfolk, Virginia. And it was awesome. And then I was even saying to him, maybe sometime once things start going back to normal, me and you can take a road trip back to Norfolk, Virginia, because there was some stuff that I've been wanting to see there. Because when I posted that video of me on Military Road in Norfolk, Virginia, a lot of people were telling me, oh, Joe, you should come back. There's more stuff you should see here and more stuff you should catch on video here. And I was like, okay, because another thing is I absolutely love Virginia and I've been wanting to go back. And I thought this guy wanted to be my lover and partner and everything. So I was just making plans and just throwing that out there. And he seemed to be okay with it. He was also telling me that he was really happy about how he doesn't have to spend Thanksgiving with his family members at all because of this coronavirus stuff. And I was like, well, you never have to spend Thanksgiving with your family members anyway if you don't want to. And he told me that his parents literally disowned him because he was homosexual and everything. And he also said that his last partner who he was with was a dominant master, and the reason why they split up is because he fell in love with a female and he left him for a female. And I was like, oh. And I was just thinking about that and I was like, oh, that's pretty cold. I mean, for your lover and partner to leave you for a woman, it's almost like, oh, I did something so bad that I turned you straight. And I was like, yeah. But nowadays, after what he did that day I spent with him, I I think there was a different reason why his last partner left him, but I'll be getting to that soon. He was also telling me that he was really happy that I was a total top because his penis doesn't work anymore and he's not able to get hard anymore. And I was happy about that also. And I was like, oh, awesome, good, because I don't suck cock and I can't take it up the ass, so it works out perfectly. So after the long drive through Alligator Alley, we finally arrived at his apartment in Miami, Florida, and he was still like a bit nervous and uptight and everything, but like I figured, all right, the more time we spend together, the less nervous he'll be, because he seemed to be getting less nervous the more I was talking to him. Another thing that I want to point out is that this man was like in his 40s or 50s, and he wasn't a small guy either. He was pretty tall. He was almost as tall as me. He was 6 feet tall, and he was kind of a mixture between fat and muscular. Like, he didn't look like a bodybuilder or anything, but he was like part fat, part muscle and everything. And if you look at me, I'm 6'3" and I'm 138 pounds. So I am pretty tall, and you wouldn't want to get in a fight with me either. And I am pretty tall. However, I'm also pretty light too, and I never really saw that as a disadvantage until now. But I'm pretty light, because 138 pounds, that's pretty light for a guy who's 6'3". I'm going to be getting back to that pretty soon. And we went to his apartment in Miami, and this was actually in a very upscale part of Miami, and this was like a luxury apartment. It was really nice and it was really fancy and everything. The apartment was kind of designed the same way as a Motel 6 a tad bit, ironically. The way it was that it was really tall, and the apartment rooms, when you open the door to your apartment room, you're right on the balcony, and the balcony is right there, and it has a railing and everything. Thank God it had that. And you can see like all out and down and everything, and you can see all over the city. One thing that I forgot to do was I forgot to record the whole drive down to Miami on my dash cam. The reason why is because I already had my dash cam packed up with me, and I was thinking while we were on the road and everything, I was just thinking, damn, I should have pulled out my dash cam and taped it up and everything. But this guy was like really nervous and everything, and also because it was so like abrupt and everything, I didn't really plan for the trip much. And also because I thought that I was going to be staying with them for quite a while, and I was thinking, well, it's okay. We can go drive around Miami after I settle in and everything, and then I can get some dash cam footage of Miami. But that never happened though. So what happened next was we were finally in his apartment room and everything, and his apartment was actually very nice. It was like really wide with lots of open space, and as I said earlier, it was a luxury apartment, so it had like a lot of room and everything, and I liked it there. It was kind of messy because he hadn't cleaned it up so well. He said that he was worried about some stressful stuff that was going on with his work and everything, and I didn't really see that as a red flag, but looking back on it, I probably should have, because that's what triggered him to become really angry and everything. But I was just trying to enjoy my time there and just try to get to know him and everything. He also was like a real computer nerd too. He had like all this technology stuff around his apartment, and I thought it was really cool. And he had me get on his computer, and he was trying to teach me how to play the game SimCity Skylines, because he saw some of my gaming videos on YouTube, and he saw my United States of Joe Winko videos, and I tried playing SimCity Skylines, but I didn't really like it so much. SimCity 4 is much better, honestly. Especially now, because now whenever I think of SimCity Skylines, I think of this idiot who I'm talking about in this video. Then I went on Google and I showed him some of the pictures I took in SimCity 4 and some of the stuff I made with SimCity 4, like the statue I made in SimCity 4 that I modded myself into. And he thought it was interesting, but he wasn't too impressed by it, honestly. So we were talking to each other and spending time with each other and everything, but we didn't really spend that much time together. Also, another thing I forgot to mention was during the drive down to Miami, we were also kind of throwing like sexual innuendos back and forth at each other. And I thought it was just a joke and everything, but he was getting all nervous and uptight, and I was thinking, okay, he probably just needs more time to get comfortable with me. So we were spending time with each other, and I was getting in the mood because I was thinking, okay, here's this guy who drove 4.5 hours to come pick me up and take me back to his place. And he was even telling me yesterday that he loves sucking cock a lot, and I was getting excited, so we were staring at each other, and I was sitting across the room from him, and we were talking for a little while, but then we started talking about sex and everything, and now, some of you guys may get mad at me for doing this, and you may think, Joe, you should have never done that, but this is how I did it. Basically, I was wearing nothing but my boxers. I basically just pulled my penis out of my boxers and I just walked towards him. I didn't like rush towards him, but I just slowly crept towards him. And all I did was put my penis right in his face. I didn't shove it in his mouth. I didn't tell him to suck it or anything, but I just put it right in his face and I gave him a flirtatious smile and everything. And he just sucked on my glands for a bit and then he stopped, and then I was like, oh, why did you stop? Can you keep going? And then he was like, oh, that was really nice and everything. And he was like, he grabbed me by the hips and he slowly pushed me away. But then he suddenly pulled a 360 on me, and he started saying, I don't think you should be here at all. And I was like, what? And I was kind of shocked by that, and I was like, why not? And then he said, you shouldn't be here. You don't belong here at all. And I was like, but why? I mean, you drove like 4.5 hours to come pick me up and everything. And you said that you were interested in being my lover and partner. And then he was saying, oh no, I don't want you here at all. I want you to go home. And I was like, oh, come on, what's wrong? And I thought that he was just getting really nervous and everything. And then I was trying to talk him into not sending me home because I didn't want to come home at all, really. And plus it was Miami. Who wouldn't want to visit Miami? And plus I didn't even get to do the stuff I wanted to do there yet because I wanted to get dashcam footage in Miami. And also because I thought this guy wanted to become my lover and partner and everything. I mean, he drove 4.5 hours to come pick me up. I'm not sure why he would send me home right now. And I thought that the reason why he probably got really uncomfortable is because, like, I came up to him and put my penis right in his face. And I told him, I'm sorry for doing that. We don't have to do anything sexual if you don't want to. But he got angry and he said, you have to leave. And I was like, oh, come on. Why do you want me to leave right now? I just got here. And then he looked into my eyes and we had like a non-verbal exchange. And I looked into his eyes and I'm going to show you a picture. This guy was a serial killer, John Wayne Gacy, a creepy story that I heard. Let me show you his picture right now. Look at John Wayne Gacy in that picture. He was talking to an interviewer in that picture, but look at that look on his face and look at his eyes. Now, imagine he was staring directly into your eyes. That's the same kind of look this guy was giving me. And I just got this very ominous feeling about him right when I looked into his eyes, and I was thinking, you know what, if this guy really wants me to leave, maybe I should leave, and maybe he should just take me back to Pinellas County if he's acting like this and feeling this uncomfortable. Also, another thing I want to mention is, like, before all this happened, he had like a shot of some alcohol, and I don't know anything about alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, but he filled up a small glass with alcohol and he drank it. And but it didn't really look like that much. And plus, this guy, he wasn't he wasn't like a small petite guy. He was like a bigger heavy set guy, so I didn't really think it would have that much effect on him. But that's when he finally started to act like that. And I was just thinking, after I stared into his eyes, I was just thinking, you know what? If you really want to take me back home, we can. So I picked up my backpack and I grabbed my stuff, and he was behind me. And I mean, like, he kind of caught me off guard. Like, and it seemed like he was waiting for the moment to do this. I opened the front door of his apartment and I pushed it open, the same front door that leads directly out to the balcony. And right when I did that, he grabbed me by the neck and he lunged forward and he shoved me out of his apartment. The only thing that stopped me from falling off that balcony was I went directly into the railing. And, you know, if he would have done that with enough force and at the right angle, because the railing wasn't that high, and also, as you guys know, I'm 6'3", so I'm a pretty tall person. But if he would have done that with enough force and at the right angle, I would have went over that railing, and he was on like the 5th or 6th floor. He was roughly 40 feet up in the air. That's how high his apartment was. And if I would have went over that railing, I would have landed directly on concrete because there was a swimming pool under it, but the swimming pool was pretty far out. And if I would have went over that railing, I would have landed directly on concrete. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like freaked out, and I was like in shock, and I was like, okay, what the fuck just happened? And next thing I know, I hear the door slamming behind me, his door slamming behind me, and I turned around, and I guess he went back into his apartment and everything. And then I was out there with all my stuff, and I was like, what the hell? So this guy literally tried shoving me off a balcony. And I was just like really shocked and shooken up by that and freaked out. So basically what I did, I just got out of there. I just walked down the stairs and everything. And then it finally hit me that I was stranded in Miami, 4.5 hours away from home that I didn't want to go back to. But I had no place to go in Miami. And I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell? Luckily, however, this story ends on a happy note because that same time, like perfect timing, I got a text message on my phone from my grandma who lives up in Canada. And me and my grandma who lives up in Canada, me and her are pretty close. I mean, she cares a lot about me, more than her own daughter who adopted me cares about me. And she asked me if I was okay and everything, and I was like, actually I'm not okay right now. And I was like really stressed out, and she called me and she asked me what was going on, and I told her everything that happened. And she said, do you know an address of where you are right now? And luckily my cell phone's location was finally correct by then, and I texted her the address of where I was at, and she said that she was going to send an Uber to come pick me up and take me back to Pinellas County. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, you have to get home. So she sent an Uber to come pick me up, and the Uber picked me up and drove me back to Pinellas County from Miami. That whole entire time, I had a lot of stuff going on in my head. Like, at first I was really freaked out and shocked that this guy tried pushing me off a balcony. It actually inspired me to draw this. You guys may have already seen this picture. I shared it on Facebook. This drawing right here, because that's technically exactly how it was. I mean, he didn't pick me up and throw me off, but he tried shoving me off. He grabbed me by the back of my neck, and I felt his fingers even digging into the back of my neck and everything, and I was like, what the hell? But during that long Uber ride back to Pinellas County, I was sitting in the back seat of the Uber, and I was just thinking to myself, is it really that bad living with my adoptive dad's brothers? And I was just thinking of that, and I was thinking of what happened. And then my adoptive grandmother, she called me on the phone again, and she asked me, "Are you on your way back yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're driving through Alligator Alley." And I actually do have a video of me in Alligator Alley. I just haven't finished editing and posting it yet. But I told her that that we were driving through Alligator Alley and we're on our way back to Pinellas County. And she told me, "Joe, why are you looking for people to live with online?" And then I told her, because I hate my adoptive dad's brothers and I want to get away from them because they're not taking the coronavirus seriously. And then she also told me, "But Joe, you have the vaccine now. You should be safe. You shouldn't be so eager to get out." And I told her, "Well, it's because I spent this whole entire year, almost this whole entire year, in my bedroom and I wanted to get away. And plus it was Miami. Who doesn't want to visit Miami?" And then she said, "How long have you been talking to this guy who invited you to Miami and everything?" And I said, "Literally since yesterday. That's when we started talking." And she was like, "Joe, what the heck?" And she told me that I needed to be careful and everything. And don't get me wrong, I definitely agree with her. And she said, "You could have gotten seriously injured or killed because he tried shoving you off a balcony." And she said, "You don't know what these people are. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know how crazy they are." And I just thought that he drove all the way from Miami to Pinellas County to pick me up because he wanted to meet me and everything. And I said, "Well, I just really wanted to get away from that house." And then she told me, "Joe, you got the vaccine, you were in the vaccine trials, you tested positive for the coronavirus antibodies, which means you have immunity. Also, these people don't spend much time at the house, and I actually think that your adoptive dad's brother's son actually left the house already." And he actually did, but I didn't know that at the time, that he already had left the house by the time I left to go to Miami. And she also even told me that I won't be living in Pinellas County for very long because her daughter, or my adoptive mom, however you want to think of it, is actually planning on purchasing a vacation home 60 miles southwest of the city of Jacksonville, Florida soon, because she's been wanting to come live in Florida, and they actually said that I could stay in the vacation home and watch it and live there and everything. So she said that I'd be getting away from my adoptive dad's brother soon enough. And another thing is, me and my adoptive dad's brothers, we never really had any problems with each other. I mean, yeah, they aren't my friends and everything, and I'm definitely not close to them, especially not now. But I didn't start hating them until this coronavirus stuff came about. And when I heard them saying that the coronavirus was a joke and everything, and how I saw that they weren't taking it seriously at all. And don't get me wrong, my adoptive dad's brother who I live with, Dane and Tim, those are the names I'm going to use. Tim already left, but Dane, he did try calling my adoptive dad and asking him to come down to Florida and pick me up and take me out of this house. But Dane doesn't own this house at all. He can't kick me out at all because this house doesn't belong to him. It actually belongs to another one of my adoptive dad's brothers who lives up in Wisconsin. So he doesn't own this house. He can't kick me out. Just like I don't own this house either, and just like I can't kick him out. So, yeah. But he did try to, and that pissed me off quite a bit, and that made me hate him even more. And also, he had friends over during this coronavirus pandemic, and I stayed locked in my room and everything, but I'm not even sure how well that protects me. But I stayed locked in my room and everything, and I was really pissed off about that. But I was just thinking it could be a lot worse. And finally, the Uber driver dropped me back off in Pinellas County near Highway 19 where I live. And I went back to my adoptive dad's brother's house that I was trying to get away from. I looked and I saw that the parking lot was empty. No one was at home. I was so glad about that. I was so happy about that. I wish it could stay that way forever. No one was home. I got all my stuff. I went back into this bedroom and I just got really relaxed and I just chilled out here and here I am now. So that's basically what happened with that story. But then eventually I kept thinking about Damien, the guy who came to pick me up and brought me to Miami and tried shoving me off a balcony. And I went from being really shocked and freaked out by that to really angry and really pissed off because I've been trying to find a lover and partner for a really long time. And I run into mean guys all the time. Really mean guys who say that I look stupid in my bandana, who bash me because I don't suck cock and because I don't take it up the ass, and who are like really disrespectful, really rude at me, and telling me, oh, you're just a freeloader, you can't hold a job at all and everything, and they bash me for that and everything, even though I can't because of my autism and ADHD and how all that stuff affects me and everything. And I run into a lot of guys who are backstabbers also. Ones who lie to me, tell me that they want me to be their lover and partner, tell me that they want to be with me, telling me that they want to go on long road trips with me and adventures with me and everything. But then they end up flaking on me or they end up ditching me or they end up getting really rude and really mean and start sending me a bunch of messages and I get pissed off at them and I hate them. But this guy right here took it to a whole new level. I never had a guy put his hands on me before. And gosh, but you guys know what I mean by that. I never had a guy put his hands on me before. And I was actually thinking about that. And I was thinking, what he did was actually illegal. That's assault. Like if I walked out of this house and walked down the street and I saw someone walking by and I put my hands on the back of their neck like this and tried shoving them forward, I would get in trouble for that. But the thing was, we were at the apartment and he already shoved me out of his apartment and tried shoving me off the balcony, but I didn't go over the balcony. And he slammed the door to his apartment, so he was already inside of his. And I was like shocked and I just wanted to get out of there after that happened. And I know a lot of you, or maybe not, but I know some of you may be thinking, well, Joe, you should have reported him to the police. I don't want to be bothered, really, because all the police are going to do, they're just going to be like, oh, well, what were you doing in Miami with a stranger? Because I've been through stuff like that before, kind of. Like, well, back when I was a little kid, I was assaulted by someone, and the cops blamed it all on me. But I didn't want to be bothered, because, the thing is, police really don't give a damn about you at all. And I know that's a bit controversial for me to say that, but police really don't give a damn about people. So I didn't want to report that to the police. I just wanted to get away from him. I didn't even want to go home. I just wanted to get away from him. And I did. And I didn't end up stranded in Miami because my adoptive mother's mother helped me get back home, or my grandmother helped me get back home. And the fucked up thing about it, if he would have actually pushed hard enough and got me over that balcony, and if I would have fell off that balcony and hit the concrete, because I'm 100% sure if he would have done that, I would have died because it was like 40, 50 feet tall. He was on the 5th or 6th floor. If he would have done that, I would have died, and he would have gotten away with it. Because all he would have to say is, oh, he accidentally fell off the balcony. He was leaning on it. I didn't do anything. Or he could have just went back to his room or something. He would have gotten away with it. That's the fucked up thing about it. And it really pissed me off. And I was like, how about I throw his ass off the balcony? And another thing was, this man wasn't young. He was like in his 40s or 50s. And I always thought that young guys were stronger than older guys because an older guy as they age, I thought that they get weaker and everything, and I thought younger guys were stronger. And I never really get worried like when I meet up with a guy, because I think if this guy tries fighting me, I'm gonna beat his ass. But this guy just he just completely caught me off guard. But if he would have been like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat your ass and everything," I would have won. I would have won if I would have saw that coming. But I didn't see it coming. And then I was thinking to myself, because there are some people this happened to, people who got killed by strangers and everything. When do they ever see it coming? I mean, of course, that's when it's going to happen, because it seemed like he was waiting for me to open that door so he could shove me off the balcony. And I was really pissed off about that. And I'm trying not to think about it too much because I just get so angry because I deleted his phone number from my phone. I really want to call him back and curse him out for doing that. And I'm mad that I can't do that because I already deleted his number and I don't know what his number is. But I just decided just make a YouTube video about it instead and just vent about it and then just put this, I'm just going to put it behind me, really. And I think the whole reason why he did that was because he's uncomfortable with himself, because he's probably ashamed of his sexuality. He was telling me that his parents disowned him for being gay and everything. And he was also upset because his last partner, who he was with, left him for a female. But I'm starting to think that there were different reasons for his last partner leaving him, especially after he did this. But I'm starting to think that there were different reasons other than his partner leaving him for a female. And in all honesty, I'm really pissed off at him. I'm going to try to put it behind me. I'm eventually going to put it behind me. I just wanted to make a YouTube video about it and vent about it because it always feels better when I talk about this stuff and when I don't keep it to myself. But I think that he's a fucking maniac and he's a fucking coward and he's a fucking idiot. And he's going to spend the rest of his life alone. He may have a fancy luxury apartment in Miami. And that's another thing I was wondering. Is someone that mentally unstable able to live in a fancy luxury apartment in Miami? Because usually when you think about someone who's crazy enough to try to shove someone off a balcony, you don't think of someone who's like a techno nerd who lives in a fancy apartment in South Florida. I mean, that does not cross my mind, but I just thought that's one other thing that baffled me, and that's one thing that baffled me during the entire ride back to Pinellas County. But overall, I think he's a fucking coward. I think he's fucking pathetic. And he's a fucking maniac. He may have that fancy apartment down in South Florida. Also, I would never even want to live in Miami anyway. Like, yeah, it's a fun place to visit, but I definitely wouldn't want to live in Miami for the same exact reasons I don't want to live in Pinellas County. Too close to the water and too crowded and too many people, and plus they're a hot spot for hurricanes. Well, a hurricane hasn't really hit Pinellas County in a while, but it's only a matter of time before one does. We did have Tropical Storm Ada that came in that caused some pretty bad damage, but luckily my part of Pinellas County wasn't affected that much, I guess. I mean, seriously, if it was up to me, I would either live in Ocala, Claremont, Tallahassee, or even Pasco County, or 60 miles southwest of Jacksonville, Florida, like my adoptive mother's vacation home is going to be at, the same vacation home that she wants me to stay at and watch. But no one is going to want to be with him because he's crazy and he tries to hurt people, and he probably has hurt people before, and he deserves to be by himself. I hate him, and I really want to beat his ass and get revenge and try throwing his fat ass off a balcony if I can pick his fat ass up and throw him off a balcony and give him a taste of his own medicine. But you know, it's not worth it. It's really not. So I just wanted to talk about this in a YouTube video and get it out there. And I already know what you guys are going to say. You guys are either going to say, oh, Joe, you gotta be careful. Trust me, I get it now. I definitely get it now. So, you don't have to say that to me, but gosh, I just thought it was really unfair. Like, here I am looking for a lover and partner, and instead I almost get shoved off a balcony. But whatever. So that's it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Let me know what you guys thought of everything I talked about and what you thought of this guy. Why do you think he snapped like that? Do you really think it was because of the alcohol? Do you think it was because he was stressed out with what's going on at work? Do you think it was because he feels uncomfortable with his sexuality because of the bad stuff that happened to him because of it? So he ended up taking it out on someone else just like him? Except for the maniac, homicidal, crazy part. And what do you think of all this that happened? Please let me know in the comments. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. And hopefully I find someone nicer to take me back to Miami instead. But that's it. Peace out, people.